Blessings, everyone, and welcome back to the Pastor Speaks. I have to say that God is such an amazing, on-time God. We want things when we want them. At least, I can't speak for you. I want things when I want them. But lately, I've just felt God saying to me, take your time. Be still and know that I am God. And so I've had to actually resign from my advisory role as consultant to God, telling him what to do and how to do it. What I'm realizing is that's not what God requires of us. You see, he's sovereign. That means he's not dependent on anything or anyone. He does not need input from anyone. We don't need to tell him what to do. Because, I find myself, especially when I get a prayer request. Oh, please pray for my uncle's auntie who's dying and we want him to stay alive. And nothing wrong with wanting your uncle's auntie to stay alive. But do we know what God's plan is for that person? Do we know the timing for their place here on earth? Because I'm very aware that each of us, our clock is ticking away. And none of us really knows the day or the hour, not when Christ will return, but when we will depart from this life. And so if you just take a request and pray for it, how you feel it should go based upon the request of the relative, then you could actually be outside of God's will or trying to advise God, telling him what to do. As I get older, I'm realizing more and more, we don't get to tell God what to do. In fact, if you read from Proverbs 3, verse 5 and 6, and I'm going to read it for you, this is what it says. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Ooh, that's hard right there. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. That means regardless of what is happening, regardless of what you're experiencing, you stay steady and constant, and God gets to have the control. You don't just trust him, but the scripture said trust him with all of your heart. That means that you have to kick out doubt, you have to get rid of fear, and you have to be on a platform of who God really is. The God who can do exactly what he said he will do. It's not easy, but that's what is required of us. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding. Listen, how many times have we worked it out? What we would do if we were God, what we would say, what we would do to those people that we didn't like or get along with. But the scripture says, lean not to your own understanding. I've discovered that my reasoning and sometimes my understanding can be completely off. The wrong cue, seeing the wrong things, and coming to the wrong conclusions. But when we trust God, it means instead of maybe going for revenge or becoming bitter or trying to balance the scales ourselves, that we allow God to do what only God can do. The last part says, in all your ways, acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. So I'm discovering that each day I have to give that day my skills, my gifts, my thoughts, my actions, my plans every day to lay them down at his feet and say, Lord, not my will, but your will be done. So when we do that, we don't lose out. Listen, it's impossible to lose when we trust in God, when we rely upon him. It's impossible because we don't serve a limited God. Our God is unlimited. He has all power, but he doesn't just have all power, he has all knowledge. You see, we have a bit of power, we have a bit of knowledge, and we think we're great. But you see, God doesn't make a mistake because he knows what's happening He knows what's going to happen. He knows what's happened. So as we surrender daily to Him, as we put our trust in Him, and as we pledge each day to be faithful to Him, the scripture says that He will direct our paths. For me, this means that He shows me the shortcuts. Not in every case, because God has an agenda on our lives. He's trying to get us into a place. He's trying to get us to be a particular person. So there are things that we would not want to go through that we will go through because God is shaping our character, our attitude, and our outlook, our response to other people. He will expose us to things that rub the rough edges off of us and bring us into a place where He can use us. And so He will direct our paths. He will decide what lesson I need to learn today, what person I need to walk past today, where I need to go, where somebody has something to deposit in my spirit. And so the whole of the scripture says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will direct your paths. So today, let us stop leaning on what we know, on what we've experienced. Let us stop leaning on the advice of friends, and let us truly lean on God, on His word, on His infallibility, on His trustworthiness, on His ability. Let us trust Him, and we will see that the directions that He gives us actually take us to where we need to be in Him. So may God bless you as you take the time to just look at these words in your own time and just ponder on them. How much do we really trust? How much are we really relying? How much do we really lean on the God of gods, the King of kings, and the Lord of lords? God bless you, and see you next time.